Hello, YouTube. This is BUB'S Comics coming at you with the No Faces Comic Chat. We are live with our good buddy DS Comics. Say hello, DS.
Hello, DS.
You stinker. And with us, as always, is the incomparable Metarog. Say, hey, everybody. How's it hanging?
Greetings, everyone.
Good for you, Roger. Don't let him drag you in the gutter. You're the only thing keeping it afloat most of the time, so I'm glad you stuck to your principles there.
Let's see. We have with us so far, we got the gray man here. Says, "Hi, wow, thumbs up, thumbs down already." That didn't take long. I said there's people out there thumbing down anything with this type of topic, and then also people maybe thumbs down because of the 18 restriction. So, oh well. Let's see. We got Mr. Gretzky's in the house. Gray man saying adults only, eh? Yes, adults only. This is just what I've come up with, so we'll talk about that some more later. We got Metarog, of course. DS saying hello, all adults. And Unruly Simeon's in the house. Alex, the comic hoarder. He's already got a run. He's already got his run in for the day. So he won't listen to us unless he's sweating and, out of breath. That's okay. He'll catch us on the rewind, probably. We got King of Comicdom. Comic collectors in the house. Thank you all for being here. Glad you could join us. We're already up to 10, so that's more than I thought. So thank you all for being here. Today, our team name is I want Roger to say this one.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, what's the team name?
The Mea Culpa. Oh, you want me to say it like Latin ways?
No, I'll say it like it's written, but then tell us what it means.
Yeah. Mea Culpa Comic Men. So it's essentially it's Latin for it's my freaking fault. That's what that means.
Well, it's spelled differently, but yes, that was the implication.
Correct. It is spelled differently, that's true. But that's the spirit, if not the letter, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, Bob's very good with the literary gimmicks. He usually has alliteration or a double entendre, or in this case, I guess it would be a pun, maybe, or something.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
and a double meaning.
I get. Yeah, that's right. It's sort of be a homonym double meaning. Yeah.
Homonym and grits. Is that right? We got Steven. I believe it, yeah. How many grits? I don't know. How many you got? I fell for it. We got Steven Oates in the house. Let's see. Thank you all for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit touchy. We may not spend the whole night on it because if all three of us end up agreeing, then we just move on, right? So, but we're going to talk about some of this. Yeah, I hope not too. Some of this Coppa and Coppa stuff. We'll just get into it real quick. DS, as the person who more or less requested this topic, or at least suggested it, and therefore I'm blaming you for it. Go ahead and start us off. What do you have to say about this, or what do you want to share about this?
Yeah, basically, I mean, it's the buzz going around the YouTube community, and not just the comic community, but everywhere. And the last straw that made me think we really should talk about this to some extent on our show was One Legged Books put out a short video today. I know you guys watched it, and he's like, I'm done with YouTube. This is my last video. I'm really sorry I have to go, but I don't trust this Coppa thing. And yeah, I sort of get it. But I think there's some misunderstanding about what it is. There's some confusion. There's a lot of fear and anxiety about it. And there's some catch words and catchphrases that get everybody's attention whenever there's something like this. And $42,600 fine per video. Everybody knows that, and it's scary to think that one of us might be hit with a fine from the federal government for 40 grand. But I don't think that that's going to happen. And like I tell everybody, do your homework. You should all, if you're making content, go research it and get an idea of what it is. But I'll give a quick overview. DS version of quick overview, if you guys want to hear it, about what this Coppa law is essentially. So
I don't know, Roger. Do we want to hear it?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate for us to get a sort of some groundwork out of the way. Yeah, I'd like to hear it. I've done my research as well.
Let's hear it.
But I'd like to hear from DS because he's very exacting in the way that he explains things.
Well, I appreciate that, Roger. Just a quick history of it. Coppa's not new. It's been around since 1998. You know, in the early infancy years of the internet, the federal government decided, like they always do, that they need to step in and take the place of parenting by enacting laws and regulations. So that's what Coppa is. It's just one in a long line of governmental parenting laws, essentially. But it's the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. And they've amended it over time. And the most recent amendment is not really, what's affecting YouTube community is not a recent amendment to the laws as much as it is YouTube changing their policy. Essentially, the new part of the law that is causing this change in YouTube policy is that YouTube, which I think is owned by Google, was fined like $170 million for violating the law. So basically, they have now put a policy in place because they were hit by a gigantic fine. And so now they're putting policies in place to affect people who put out content, essentially so that YouTube doesn't get fined again. I doubt any individual YouTuber is ever going to get fined 40 grand. But YouTube is always on the hook because here's why. The law basically prohibits, among other things, the collection of data about children. So if you're 13 years or younger, you're a child under the Coppa law. And if that's the case, companies are not allowed to collect data on children, like viewing habits. And basically how that affects YouTube is they have two types of ads that they run on monetized channels. They run contextual ads, which if you're watching a video about fixing up hot rods, they'll have an ad in there for car products, probably. That's contextual. It's not related to who's watching it. It's related to what's the video about. But the other one is personalized ads. And what they do is they will track your viewing history. And if they see you're watching a lot of cooking shows, they will target you with ads for cooking products. That's it in a nutshell. But you're not allowed to collect the viewing habits of children. That's against the law. So what happened is, there's a bunch of children on YouTube all the time because their parents, without consent, if children are on there watching stuff without parental consent, you can't collect their data. And YouTube was collecting data from everybody. They weren't trying to filter out who was children and who weren't, or what were child channels or videos and what were adult content. They were just collecting data on everyone. So they got slapped with a huge fine because part of what they're collecting was data on what children were watching and targeting ads towards these accounts, which were essentially children. You're not allowed to do that under Coppa. Essentially, though, the problem I have with this on an ideological scale is when parents just sit back and let their kids use their cell phones or their computers to watch whatever they want on YouTube, they've essentially given broad consent to the child to watch whatever they want. So whatever the kid does, in my view, is with parental consent. But it's not specifically with parental consent. Parents don't check a box or something. But YouTube's instituted a sort of a kid filter, like a parental control channel that you can set where your kids can only watch kid-friendly shows. So what YouTube has done in order to get not hit with another huge fine is that they have a policy now that you need to declare if you're monetized whether your content is for kids or not. And you're safer going with marking it as for kids, because if it's for kids, YouTube will not collect any data and the ad revenue on those channels will suffer because YouTube's not putting as many ads. They're not doing targeting ads on kids' channels. If you mark it as an adult channel, they will assume that your kids are not watching that, and they will collect personalized data and target ads towards viewers of that content. It really only affects monetized channels because when somebody clicks on one of my videos, no ads come up because who the hell am I? Got 500 subscribers. Nobody cares. There's no ads. I'm not monetized. This doesn't affect me. So, One-Legged Books was the one that got me thinking we should talk about this. There's other channels that are not monetized that are like, I'm done, I'm not risking it. It is not going to affect you unless you're monetized. If you're monetized and you say that you're an adult channel, but you have tons of children viewers, you are allowing YouTube to target those children with ads. I still don't think it puts the YouTube user on the hook. It puts YouTube on the hook ultimately, because the creators or the people putting out the content aren't collecting any data on anyone. We're just putting out content. YouTube is the one collecting the data, and it's the collecting of the data about children that's against the law. So you might be in violation of a YouTube policy, but I think that $42,000 fine would probably be against YouTube. But it gets dicey. Nobody wants to mess around with the federal government, so a lot of people are just dropping their channels. Only affects you if you're monetized. And if you're monetized and you say that your content's for kids, they won't collect any data. You're off the hook. You may get less ad revenue because there's going to be less personalized, targeted ads on your channel. But if you put that you're for adults, they will collect viewership. And if your viewership, if you're running, you know, like John's Comics with Kids on Saturday morning, he does that show with his daughters. It's hard to argue that that's not a kid-oriented program. Just at first blush, if you just looked at it. So
it's in the title.
We want to mark that as for kids.
Yeah.
And you can change your settings in YouTube. You can do it by video. You can say this video is for adults, this video is for kids, or you can just do channel wide. All my videos are for kids, or my whole channel is for adults, whatever you want to do. So that's my rambling summary of what's going on. And, you know, if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. And if anybody thinks I'm wrong about anything or knows that I am, which happens often, feel free to let me know. But that's essentially it in a nutshell. But bottom line is, if you're not monetized, you don't need to worry about it. And if you are monetized, the safest bet is to say that you're for kids. And then there will be no targeting ads of your viewership. So
now,
if you're monetized and you're saying you're for adults, that's the only area that could possibly be dicey. But I still think it falls on YouTube because they're the ones collecting the data. And it's the collecting of data about children that's against the law, not running content. So,
so before we debate some of those items or discuss them any further, what do you plan to do with your channel?
Well, I marked my channel not for kids. I already did that. And I put up a video today, and they started this new thing. Every time you put up a video, you have to specify if it's kid friendly or whatever. So I just went over to my settings on my channel and I put that my channel's for adults. It doesn't affect me. I'm not monetized. If I ever get monetized, I'm not even going to try to get monetized. Honestly, I don't really care. I don't do this to get monetized. So I won't even request that. But in any event, my content is for adults. And yeah, so I mean, it's not a violation of the law to have an adult-oriented channel where you're cursing and showing adult themes. That's not against Coppa. It's free speech. It's First Amendment issues. If you're running something for kids, but you're saying it's for adults to get the ad revenue, that's where you could get in trouble. But I'm not planning on getting ad revenue, and I'm not running anything for kids, and my entire viewership is adults. And I talk about investing. I talk about books that cost more than, you know, kids' entire life. It's not like kids are watching my channel. But if you're doing like, you know, animation, children's animation, or children's craft projects, or, you know, things like that, and you're saying it's for adults, it's going to be hard to argue that you are not conspiring sort of with YouTube to allow the targeting of your kids for ad revenue. So,
okay. So I don't see it the same way that you see it.
Okay.
Some of the information that you said, I'm not debating the facts of any of that, honestly, just the interpretation, right?
Yep.
So just to start off by saying I agree with everything Diaz said about the actual facts of what, as far as the data collection goes, that is the target to stop the data collection. I think that there's also Bad Dad 320 is asking what's the definition of kids. They're saying anything, I think 13 and under, right?
Yeah. Well, for Coppa, it's 13
For
years
Coppa.
old or younger,
Right.
and it only applies to kids who don't have parental consent as well. Which, you know, that's
Right.
dicey too, because for Coppa, consent means specific consent and not just a general consent or an implied consent. Right. But it's if parents are letting their kids on the computer, I think whatever's on the computer is off the hook. That should be the true freedom way of life in this country about it. It shouldn't be that parents aren't parenting, so the federal government steps in and hits people with $100 million fines. It's up to the parents. If your parents don't let your kids watch crap, don't just let them sit in front of YouTube all day without supervising. That's a dangerous thing. And good parenting, in my opinion, means you don't just let kids have carte blanche on YouTube. So they're kind of shifting the responsibility away from parents and onto YouTube and creators, which I think is ideologically a bad idea. But yeah, purposes of Coppa, it's 13 and under without parental consent.
Okay. So here's my, and I'll try and make it succinct. Okay. So here's my take on it. I think that, and I'll get to my, quasi conspiracy theories at the end as to what's really behind it all kind of stuff. But to me, as you said, the main thing is stopping children basically from watching YouTube, stopping 13 and under children from watching YouTube, and at the same time having their data collected, okay, which means no targeted ads. I know that the other intent, the publicized intent of the law is all about, helping, children and helping parents parent their children and saving the innocence and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to even touch that because that's just a bunch of crap, I think, generally. That's just stuff they say to make people agree to it. But I think overall, the bottom line is that it's a two-pronged approach here. You have the FTC and you have YouTube. YouTube is doing everything now that they've been fined, right? They're doing everything they can to be clear with the identification of videos and the categorization of videos as to what is targeted and or appealing to children. So it doesn't have to be that, hey, kids, here's comic books to show you. It can also be just if you happen to show comic books and those things are, attractive to kids, then that counts. So it doesn't have to be content specifically directed at children. It can just be content that children find appealing and attractive. So that's a very obviously gray area that's out of generally the control of the creator to some degree, right? It's certainly out of the control of YouTube.
Yeah, but it's not against the law to put out content that's attractive to kids.
Right. But it is against the law, as you said, to collect data based on that, right?
Right.
To use it, to monetize it. So I think what happens in this case is that YouTube is putting out as many available options, basically saying, look, if a creator puts out content, and this is where I think I disagree with you a little bit. I think that they're trying to stop people from putting out content that they say is for adults, but really is for children.
Well, you're saying the federal government's trying to prevent that from happening?
Yes, and YouTube is trying to clearly identify those two things. So what happens is that right now, if you mark your channel for, this is the way I understand it, if you mark your channel as saying, yes, these are all kid-friendly videos, then you lose monetization. They continue to run advertisements, but they're just contextual advertisements, not targeted advertisements based on data, right? And then they also are going to disable the comments section. That way there can be no interaction between the creator and the child.
That's true.
And that is the key part there that everyone is, I think, jumping off at, because a lot of people don't want to put out content if they can't interact with their viewers. And I think that's where a lot of people are. That's where people are throwing their hands up and saying, well, that's ridiculous. That's on the YouTube side, right? Because it would be easy for us, clean up our act a little bit. Some of us, especially, right? Don't cuss, don't show any risque material, only show basically what's newsstand comics rated for everybody, right? And then you don't kind of have to worry about it, right? You mark your channel for kids and everything's fine. But by them disabling the comment section, that no longer makes it a viable option for creators who want to interact with their audience. That's the YouTube side. That on the FTC side, they're saying no data collection of any kind on children's videos. And if you misrepresent yourself or your videos or your channel as being a channel that is for adults, and then instead show nothing but kids materials, then you could face a fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So YouTube plays a part in between there as well, and we'll get to that in a minute. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm going the opposite way that some others are just leaving their channel, of course, and ditching everything. And then some people are thinking, well, I'll make it all kids, but if you make it all kids, you lose the comments, and probably no one's going to do that. I don't think that's realistic. Even if you make specific videos, you're not going to get any interaction. And I think that's the biggest key to YouTube is the interaction. So I think part of it will be that for me, I'm going to make my channel 100% 18 and up. And I'm doing all of my videos because that's a gray area, right? Because FTC and YouTube are concerned with 13 and under. Nobody's talked about 14 to 17. That's not even, nobody even talks about that group, right? But quite honestly, I don't want that group watching me either. So to me, my channel has always been an adult channel. So now it's time for me to go through my channel, go through each video. I already set my entire backlog of catalog videos to 18 and over, and have that there has to be someone clicking that button to say I am 18 or over. And the key to that to me is that shifts it off me. I'm already not monetized or anything like that. So I'm not collecting any money, right? But it takes that away and it puts it back on the user to some degree that they now have defrauded YouTube in saying that they're 18 and over, as opposed to just watching a video, whatever they search for pops up. Instead, it says, you're clicking here saying you're 18. Now the kid has to lie to say that he's 18 in order to watch the video. Not to mention that 13-year-olds are not, or anyone under 13 is not even supposed to have a YouTube channel or supposed to have a YouTube account. To sign up for YouTube, you have to be 13 or over. So they're already lied once to get the YouTube account, or some parent has been negligent and let the kid use their account. But still, when they go to watch that video, they have to lie again and say, no, I'm 18. Well, at that point, it's like trying to pass a fake ID. Maybe they'll get caught, maybe they won't, but it's not really on me anymore. Like, I've done everything I can. My videos are all going to be marked as adult. They're all going to be 18 or over. And this is something I haven't heard anyone mention before, or, in this conversation. You can also directly uncheck the box that allows them to collect data on any of your viewers. You can go in channel by channel, video by video. You can do a batch edit to all your videos and say, no targeted ads. So I'm doing that as well. So my channel will have 18 and over only, unless they lie, right? Unless the watcher lies. It's going to have already marked as only adult content all throughout. And I'm going to not collect any targeted ads on anyone that watches my videos, no matter how old they are, no matter what they click, they're still not going to get targeted ads. So to me, that clears me with the FTC, and I've taken every single precaution that YouTube has offered so far to restrict my channel to 18 and over only. So to me, that puts me in a defensible position to where if someone says, hey, we're going to hit you with a $40,000 fine, I'm going to say, wait a minute, I did every single thing you asked, and I did use all the tools at my disposal to be clear of Coppa and to have my videos only viewed by adults. So what more do you want from me? What more can I possibly do? And so that brings me to the last thing, the last bullet that YouTube has in the chamber, if they really are looking to cancel channels for whatever reason, is that they recently changed their terms of service. And it says that any channel that they deem to be commercially unviable,
correct,
they will delete or can delete at their sole discretion.
Correct.
So now I am saying basically outright that I am lowering my revenue down to the bare minimum. I'm putting myself in the smallest percentage of videos that are 18 and over, adults only, and and just completely, and no targeted ads. So that's the least amount of money that YouTube can make on a video. So it's very possible that they find me no longer commercially viable. They can't make any money off my channel, and so they cancel it. But if that's what happens, that's what happens. Then YouTube canceled it. I didn't take it down. I didn't do anything else. I followed the rules, and I pushed it all the way to the max and did absolutely everything I could possibly do to restrict children viewing my channel. And then YouTube took me down because those videos don't make money. What more can I do? So that's, and I'll probably just save my little, not call it a conspiracy, but what I think is really driving it, I'll save that for another time or later. So that's what I got.
Yeah. I'm glad One-Legged Books is here in the chat. I don't know if he was here early when I said that his video sort of touched me in a way that made me feel like we should address this. But yeah, I mean, and he's put here in the chat some comments about it that, yeah, I totally sympathize with his position. He says, my biggest problem was YouTube left me as a creator high and dry. Even if the FTC makes a mistake and fine me, I would still have to prove that, and that costs money. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't blame him or others for deleting their channel. It pisses me off that, first of all, it pisses me off from the federal government is going to start leveraging private companies for stuff like this to make money and hit them with huge fines. And that trickles down because now companies put in place policies that now affect the people putting out content. And then those people delete their channels, and that affects everybody else who enjoys watching them for entertainment. And it's, very chilling on First Amendment expression and freedom of speech. It's not against the law to make a video about anything you want. But now they've got all these little dicey rules that are purposefully convoluted in order to leverage fines and make money whenever they deem necessary. And the effect of this is that YouTube was on the hook for a $170 million fine. Now they put policies in place that now we have to follow those policies so that next time YouTube gets hit, they will drag us in as co-defendants in any suit or fine that they get hit with. And yeah, I mean, it's dicey, and it costs money. YouTube has tons of revenue. They can hire attorneys to deal with this stuff, but we can't afford that. So yeah, One-Legged Books is right. If that happens, it would cost money. But I mean, it's like almost like a lose-lose, because you either have to do a bunch of complicated, annoying stuff that stress you out. Some people are cutting their channels completely out. Or you have to cut your ad revenue, or you have to go back through all your videos, or, it's not necessary anyway. But, look, I marked my entire channel as adult content. I'm never intending to get monetized. I'm not going down that road no matter how many subs I get. My stuff is marked for adults. I'm putting out stuff that's for adults. Occasionally I curse, and, sometimes there's graphic images on the books I show. All the time, probably. It's not. Look, I will stand on my principle and say, if anybody who views my stuff can view it. I'm engaged in free speech by putting out this content. I'm not inciting anybody to commit crimes or riot or anything like that. I'm expressing myself under the First Amendment, and I don't care who watches it. I'm not going to try to draw ad revenue, and I'm not going to try to work with YouTube to target for ads or not. I consider my channel for adults. I'm putting out content, and I'll interact with people under the First Amendment, essentially what I'm doing. I don't plan on collecting ad revenue or anything. If you're collecting ad revenue and that's a source of income, I mean, there's some huge channels out there with, hundreds of thousands of subscribers or millions of subscribers that generate massive ad revenue. And it's their job, their business. If they are running a kid channel and they list it as an adult channel, are they knowingly allowing YouTube to collect ad data on kids in order to boost their revenue? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's sort of where you get into trouble. But I think if those channels mark their stuff as kid-friendly, it cuts down on some of their ad revenue. It cuts down on the comment section. And it's unfortunate, and that's YouTube policy. And the YouTube policy is a result of the fines that were leveled against them by the federal government. So, we've got to follow YouTube policy. And I feel like if you do that, the worst that happens is YouTube can kick you off, but YouTube can't fine you $42,000. So just make sure you're not conspiring with YouTube to collect data on 13-year-olds. But I want to be very clear. You are allowed to put out content that's attractive to children. You are allowed to put out content that is violent, that is obscene, that is disgusting, that is whatever. That's freedom of speech. I will put out whatever content I want to put out, and whoever reaches it and watches it is whoever reaches it and watches it. I'm not trying to make money off it. I said it's for adults, and I put out whatever under free speech, and I don't care who watches it. If 13-year-olds watch my channel and become traumatized by Schomburg covers, that's not on me. I will fight that on principle. Even with no money, I'll go to court myself and defend myself on that.
Sometimes I get traumatized by the covers you show, DS.
Well, I mean, Silver Age Dave makes a good point. They're handing out iPads in school to kids. It's like, on the one hand, the institution is pushing all of this access to this stuff on kids, and then on the second hand, putting it out there. It's like they're creating a problem so that they can go after people for huge sums of money. And who gets left behind or left out of the mix is, parental responsibility is an important aspect of this, or should be. And that's like a non-factor in this. And then the other thing is people who are exercising their First Amendment and putting out content and expressing their views and their likes and their dislikes and having communication, freedom of expression and assembly, essentially, they're hindering that. So it's annoying all around, and I have a lot of problems with it. But, the safest thing for me is just mark everything as adult. I'm not seeking ad revenue. I'm not monetizing. I will interact with everybody, and I'll say whatever the hell I want, and I'll put out whatever images of Schomburg covers I want and horror covers, and that's it. And I feel like I'm on safe ground if I'm expressing myself under the First Amendment, and I'm not taking any money for it. I'm not getting involved in the marketing and the FTC commercialization of it. I'm speaking and expressing myself, and people may or may not come to watch, and I don't know who they are, and I don't care. That's my view on it.
All right. Roger, do you want to
get where One Legged Books is coming from? And it's unfortunate, and I sympathize with him, and I don't blame him or a bunch of others. You know what I mean? I don't blame him for stopping his channel. He doesn't want to have to risk that, and it's unfortunate that they put creators into that position. It sucks.
Yes, I agree. And I think that, as you can see from the chat, and we're not going to shout out the whole line of people watching us tonight. It's not really that type of show tonight. But as we mentioned people, that's fine. But we're not going to go through the whole list. But I want to thank everybody for being here and for participating in this chat. I think that one of the things to remember as we're going through here is that people are very emotional about this. People are very anxious, for lack of a better word, about this, and it has seriously affected some people monetarily and emotionally and mentally and every which way you can think of, probably other than physically. So just in saying that, I just want to say that I'm not right. DS isn't right. Roger, although he hasn't spoken yet, isn't right either. Right. We're not lawyers. We're not YouTube representatives. We're not FTC representatives. We are just expressing, we're digesting the information that we believe we have, and we are expressing our opinions, our concerns, and letting you know what we plan to do with our channels. And that's pretty much it. Everyone has to choose for themselves. Everyone will have a different level of need, a different level of fear that will prompt them to do different things. So, and no one's saying that is right or wrong. And also, as we've seen already in the chat, a lot of people could flat out disagree with the courses of actions, as far as it seems like everybody wants the same thing, and yet everyone has a different way that they're going to go about doing it. So that raises a lot of concerns from each other, saying, well, we all want the same thing. Why are you doing it this way and I'm doing it this way and you're doing it this way? Well, the reason is because we're kind of left. It's all very vague. It's all very unclear. They're specifically not making it clear, I think, so that they can have as much room to maneuver. If something bad were to happen, they could say, well, that's what we meant. We meant to stop that. So, I think that when it comes down to it, we all want the same thing. I think we want to continue to interact with each other through comment sections specifically. We want to continue to grow our channels, whatever that may look like. I know everybody says I just do it for myself, and everybody does, but it's still nice to have more people watching and commenting because that's how the community grows. So I think we all want that. I'm not going to even touch revenue. I'm not concerned with that, and I don't think that's the driving force for most people. But we all still want to be able to do the same videos we did a month ago. We all want to be doing the exact same videos we were making before all this happened, and we want to basically have nothing more or less change. That we don't have to change anything for ourselves, and we want the same results. And so I think we all want that. Just we all have different ideas on what the best and safest way, because the last thing we all want is not to be fined. So I think that we all have the same wants and desires. So let's remember that as we're being respectful to each other. We all want the same thing in the end. We're all on the same team. We just have different game plans for getting there. So, okay. Roger, what would you like to say on the subject?
This is insanity, guys. Absolute, stark, raving, mad insanity that we have to put up, and we have to do a show on this topic, and that these regulations are implemented in such a fashion that already there are casualties of war here. One-Legged Books, Super Russ, Rayman is putting all his private. Mm-hmm. These are
Common Geek McD.
Common Geek McD had to delete, and he's in UK, which I'll get into that later, right? Insanity, guys, and this is because of the fear mongering that's going on through the power of a commission. Okay, and I am sick to my stomach at the effect that this has already done on our friends. These are my friends here that I care for, and that that the whole community is a community because we can communicate. And if we do the kid friendly and we can't comment, we might as well just go on Instagram and just be showing pictures and chatting up there. It's absolute insanity, and this is nowhere near the effect that they want to have. And I'm saying the FTC and the federal government. What they're doing is they're taking family-friendly channels, and they are essentially neutering them and telling them you're either going to come off or you have to start swearing so that you're not considered family-friendly. So you're essentially cutting off the head for programming that children, wholesome programming for children, which you are supposed to be are supposed to be the object that you're protecting here, right? 13 and under. Okay. And yeah, parents cannot be with their children 24 hours a day. If you give them a phone, are you supposed to be following them around 24 hours to see if they download an app? No, of course not. I can't blame the parents for everything here, but you do have to, you and I, Bob, we're parents, right? We do the best we can. We lay the foundation for a kid, but we can't be there for every single situation. It's impossible. Okay. So I understand the necessity, and I am all for the protecting the privacy, protecting the those that out there that have nefarious schemes for children. I'm all for it. But lordy, did they go about this the absolute most incredibly asinine way possible? To put the impetus on the creators that are trying to put out content and trying to grow a community and trying to actually controvert what they're trying to actually cut the head off is insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. And that's why I am very upset today. Normally, it's hard to get me upset, honestly. That's just the kind of person I am. I've been told things left and right. And it just slides off my back. But when you hurt my friends, that's when I get out of my comfort zone and I get a little bit aggressive. Okay? Because you can do whatever you want to me, but don't come after my friends. Don't come after my family. And that's who these people are. So what I did is I spent all day, Bub, all day, looking at the Coppa laws, the FTC regulations, their press conference, their previous cases, the whole kit and caboodle. All right. And it's amazing to me that we are even having this discussion, because we are not in any way, shape, or form should be responsible for the sins of those corporations that have brought this upon us. Okay, because YouTube is the ones that really should be on the hook, not us. Okay, it's almost like saying, listen, we're gonna blame the gun, we're gonna blame the knife, we're gonna blame the poison. It doesn't matter how you did it. You know, it's the object, not the result, not the user that matters. It's insane. It's absolutely insanity.
Yeah,
So,
and look, I honestly think the law as it sits today is unconstitutional for a number of reasons. You know, when you have things that affect constitutional rights like freedom of speech, you have to, there's a very strict analysis that goes into that. There's a lot of vagueness in this law and ambiguity and stuff that would not stand under a strict scrutiny standard in court on a constitutional challenge of this. I truly believe that.
The first time this is challenged, and that, again, the law per se, remember, this is not a law. This is a regulation put out by the commission. There's no congressional act that said this is a law. The congressional act established the commission, but not, and their powers. But the first time, I guarantee you, the first time that anybody gets a fine for this type of violation, this is going to be, you know, again, you know, we're talking about other factors here. This is not legal advice in any way, shape, or form. Okay, but the first time that this coming to court for a fine because of the creator, right? And there's no other, you know, extenuating factors. In other words, if you're just doing a video on comic books and you're showing, you know, your collection, all right, and they get fined for that because it's kid-friendly content that was, you know, on a channel that is for adults, right? And they take that to court because that then we're taking it up a level, right? We're taking it to the legal process. You're right. There's a legal doctrine called void for vagueness. Okay, if you don't know you're violating the law and there's no way you could because it's so vague, then you didn't violate it. Okay, because it was never there to begin with, and that's what this will happen. Unfortunately, the chilling effect and the stream of bodies that is laying in the wake of this, you know, fear mongering is going to be immense. Okay, and I agree with you that, you know, first of all, how are they going to, if they do find a non-monetized channel, how are they going to get that money? You tell me. How are they going to get that money? Okay, are they going to then go like the IRS? Are they going to put, you know, are they going to garnish your wages? Are they going to put liens on property? Can you imagine the firestorm of publicity if a 200 sub channel that shows comic books gets hit with a $40,000 fine?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if it happens, because for those of you who are old enough and remember, which is probably most people here, who remember the whole Napster issue where they actually went after some kids and levied massive fines against teenagers for downloading Metallica songs. It was a PR disaster. But, you know, they ultimately were able to shut that down for the most part. But look, I agree with, there's so much stuff in the chat. There's so much participation. I'm reading it all. There's no way we can address all these questions. But
no way.
Look, the bottom line, to just summarize my position on this, just from me making content, is I am expressing myself under the First Amendment. And I will not stop that. And I don't care if they find me. I don't care if they come after me. I will exercise my First Amendment right to the day I die, and they will have to come break down my door and lynch me out back before I will stop expressing myself freely. Now, I will put out whatever content I want. If they don't want me to be monetized, if I'm not going to mess with ad companies and YouTube and commercialization of it. That's not my point. My point here is to enjoy my First Amendment by expressing myself and engaging and assembling with others with a common interest to enjoy art that is protected under the First Amendment as well. I'm going to continue to do that. I am not stopping. I'm not slowing down. I marked it as adult content. That's it. I'm done. I'm not going to monetize. You know, so I come at this from sort of a different standpoint. You know, there's huge channels out there that this is their job and their business and they're monetized.
Yeah, those
That's
are the
crazy
ones.
Because if you're starting to dip your toes into the pot that has the money in it, well, then you're dipping your foot in where there's much bigger toes of the FCC and YouTube and Google and the federal government. There's a lot of toes in that money pot. I'm not going near the money pot. I'm just standing on the sidelines, speaking my mind, essentially, and I'm not going to stop doing that.
I'm not going to get into the First Amendment stuff because, yeah, you have the right to free speech, except, you know, when there's a clear and present danger, but you don't have the right necessarily to this platform. So
yeah, I mean, they can kick me off the platform.
Shut you down.
I will talk about comics somewhere else. I'll take my comics down to the town square and hold them up and scream at the top of my.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I mean? Whatever. But
and ultimately,
you did that last week, didn't you?
That was the town crier had the PCHs. Okay, so I think ultimately what most likely would happen is if you are in violation of this regulation, and you know, again, it would be nice if they give you a warning or some kind of, you know, parameters to follow. But let's say they don't. Well, most likely they will just shut down your channel. You're out of there. Bye, and your IP will be blocked from YouTube.
Well, you know what I'll do if they do that? I welcome YouTube to kick me off for speaking my mind, because what I will do is I will file a lawsuit, a constitutional violation lawsuit, and I will join the FTC with YouTube and Google, and I will file a suit, and I will represent myself, and I will, you know, I will do whatever I can to make as much freaking noise as possible,
right?
Whatever, and if nothing else, it may encourage other people to sort of stand their ground when stuff like this is being pushed on us. It's a gigantic wave of oppression that's filtering down from the government through Google, through YouTube, onto content creators, onto the citizens that want to enjoy this stuff. So it is very chilling, and it's very scary.
Very chilling.
I don't blame creators for shutting their channels down because they don't want to mess with it. I will mess with it. I'm not doing it for money. I am not going to do anything except engage in the speech part of it. And if I receive any static from anyone about that, then there's going to be a fight in court, and I'll do it. I don't care, man. I'm a constitutionalist. We don't need to get into a whole thing here, but when it comes to constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights, I am very educated about it. I'm very experienced with those issues, and I'll be happy, more than happy to take on that fight against anybody. Try to chill my First Amendment rights. So that's where I come from it. But what it's doing is it's shutting down a lot of free speech because they're scared of all of these other issues, because it's a giant entangled spider web of oppression coming after people with huge amounts of money possibly of fines being levied on people. Yeah, it's going to scare a lot of people. I don't blame them for being scared.
Yeah, because that's the intent. The intent is to scare. It
right.
Isn't the intent there. Let me say something before we go on first. This is not going to be implemented until July 1st, and the FTC is still accepting comments, and there's a petition also going on. So let's not be too hasty, because this could change, because they did change after the 2013 law. They got comments, and they did alter some of the specific tenets of that law. All right. So we're talking about it as it sits today, with the uncertainties and the vagueness and the obscurities, but let's not panic yet, because we still have a month and so, and things can change. After that December 9th comment date, I am thinking that they will come out. They have to, because there's going to be millions of comments, right? With some kind of either explanation or some kind of alteration or clarification. Okay. So let's not panic yet. That's why I'm telling people, don't delete your channels. Don't start, panicking at this point. You still have time. Let's wait until it gets closer to the point where they're going to start enforcing it, and then we can start to see if it's a viable option that you just have to delete your channel. But at this point, I'd say to everybody, please don't do that yet, because there's still time where the FTC can change things.
Yeah, and congratulations and kudos and hallelujah for One-Legged Books going at this with maintaining a positive attitude and keeping his chin up, and says, I only got one set of toes, can't afford to risk them.
You see, that's why we're going to miss him so much. He is so unique, right?
Exactly. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I could go live on my channel for 5 hours and just rant about this, but I'm not going to do it unless enough people want me to. I'll do it, but.
Okay, well, let me just say
I want to get to my you shared your little conspiracy part, or at least how you feel the wheels turn and the spider webs are laid. So to me, I look at things very I try to base them down to simple players. Okay.
Mhm.
So to me, everything that happens in government, everything that happens in social policy, always breaks down to key players. So and anytime something big like this happens and it's like ruckusing, right? Then you got to identify who does it hurt the most, who does it help the most, and then everyone in between is just a facilitator of that action. Okay. So to me, YouTube is a facilitator. They're trying not to get hurt anymore. They're trying not to pay anything anymore. So they're
True.
passing the buck of the fines. Okay. So they're
Correct.
just a facilitator to me
That's correct.
in this. You can blame YouTube for not standing up for you if you'd like, but ultimately that's their decision. To me, who stands to gain from this? Well, if you've dealt with the government very much or you're pretty informed of it, and that doesn't mean reading social media posts either, but if you're pretty informed of government, I think most of us would agree that the government is always acting on someone else's behalf. Very rarely is the government acting in its own self-interest in anything other than militarily. Okay. Usually they are advocating or they're working on some other group's behalf. In this case, I believe that the FTC is working on behalf of lobbyists of large broadcasting corporations, because the main thing that they're looking to stop is for preteens and children from watching YouTube. If any of you have kids or grandkids out there, you can turn on Disney Channel, you can turn on Nickelodeon, you can turn on anything you want on TV. And I guarantee you, unless you have put some amazing system in place to stop kids from holding devices, they'll be watching YouTube on a device instead. Kids don't watch TV anymore, largely. Kids prefer, once they get to an age where they can manage a device, they prefer personalized content on devices, and YouTube is their preference. Every kid's watching YouTube. Every little kid loves YouTube, and they're not just watching comic videos. I mean, honestly, they're probably not watching much of that at all, but they are watching Lego videos and figure videos. And you can see kids, little girls watching how to do their makeup these days, little boys watching how to do their makeup. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They watch things that are fascinating to them. You can see a kid watch how a building is built, like with bricks and mortar and the whole thing. And they're just staring at it. They just love it. So kids are watching YouTube videos. And I think what's happened is that everyone who that is taking money out of their pockets, Disney, and I find it very hard to believe that all this is coincidental. Disney Plus launches and gains 1 million subscribers at the same time that YouTube and FTC crack down on kids' videos. That to me is too coincidental. I think that the larger companies that put out content professionally are targeting YouTube and trying to stop kids from watching YouTube. And the best way to stop that is they went after YouTube, and YouTube said, no, go after the creators. We don't want any of your trouble. We can't afford it. So then go after the creators. Well, if there's no creation of children's programming, because that's who's really in the catch-22 here. It's not us who's making programming that people may misconstrue as for children, but it's really for the true children, program creators, because they're not going to have any content. They're not going to have any interaction. They're not going to get any ad revenue. So those are the people who are being hurt the most. I mean, we're all complaining because we're afraid we'll get called one of those people that they truly are targeting, which is anyone making kids content. And if you're making kids content, they don't want you to make any money off that, because that money you're making is coming out of the pockets of Disney. It's coming out of the pockets of Nickelodeon. You're taking their money by taking their viewer on your channel and getting just a little bit of money for it. Even if you're not monetized, YouTube gets money for it. You get money after 1,000 subscribers and 400,000 whatever hours of viewing, but YouTube's making money all along from your very first video. So that's, to me, if you want to talk about the spider webs and all that kind of stuff, that to me is the ultimate thing, is that you have big corporations that are losing money because kids are watching YouTube. So they're trying to find a way to stop that. So children's content on YouTube is what will be going away, and they're going to find any which way that they can to make that happen. So that's my belief.
That's part of it. You're not wrong. I agree with you. But look, the federal government is the ultimate fair weather friend. they might be friends with Disney today, and tomorrow they'll fine them $2 billion and throw the CEO in jail for 40 years. Whenever the wind switches the other way, you can't trust them to be a friend. But what you're saying is probably true to a large extent. But I think it's more Orwellian than that. There's more of a
oh boy,
it's more of a concerted effort by the government to censor. Genome Presents put it perfectly. Although I think you could substitute the word government for Google when he said Google is nothing but a psyop and censorship is key to disseminating only approved messages. Yeah, I think that's essentially what the federal government does. You can't look. I forget if it was Franklin or Jefferson or whoever said that when the people fear the government, that's tyranny. And when the government fears the people, that's freedom. And clearly, we are falling on one side of that equation right now. And everybody is in this chat at least agrees with me that we are not on the side of the equation for liberty right now. And I'm telling you, it's a larger Orwellian movement by the government to control speech and expression and assembly. It makes it. Go read 1984 by George Orwell.
Oh boy.
And every 5 years when I read that, it's more and more accurate of what the current society is. So, I mean, you read the book and you know what I'm saying. And this is part of it. I'm telling you. And look, I'll go to my grave defending my constitutional rights. And this is an attack on the First Amendment. Yeah, you can convolute it in a bunch of ways by having, we're trying to protect kids. This has nothing to do about protecting kids, okay? It has nothing to do with protecting kids. It has
certainly not the effect that it's having. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, money and control and censorship is what it has to do with. And the crap flows downhill and it flows down onto us, and that's what's happening. And it's unfortunate, and it's very infuriating.
Certainly. DS, let me tell you, this is one of the times I'm kind of agreeing a little more with Bub on this one. And
I hate that for you, Roger.
I tell you, I don't know how much it pains me to say this, right? To give Bub credit, it hurts my soul, honestly. But but look, you have to think about who turned in YouTube and who has the most to benefit from this regulation, because this regulation is only for YouTube. Okay, nobody else has the standard for now, right? Has the standard that YouTube has to abide by, right? So what better way, right, to essentially cut the head off the monster than by cutting out? We are the ones who make YouTube. Okay, YouTube itself has like just some videos on informational. We made them billions over the years. Our content, our hard work, our research, our information, everything. We are the ones who made them. Okay, so and they made this huge media monster. Okay, and the money they make, 170 million to YouTube is peanuts. It is chump change. It is you and I going to dinner and having a bad steak. Okay.
Well, yeah, you know what? You're right, Roger, and that's the largest one yet. They've yet to get the reaction they wanted in getting private corporate help in their censorship campaign, which has been going on since FDR. I'm not, probably Woodrow Wilson, honestly. I'm not.
Holy smokes! Okay, all right, but all I'm saying, DS, is that you have to consider. Did the parents complain about this? No, they think actually
they always trump up some parental and children rights group to be there, to be a voice. So there's a few of those.
Exactly. Who was complaining? Was there a problem that I missed the memo on, that there was this massive problem that people were concerned about? Who's complaining? Exactly.
Who's complaining? Right. The parents actually like the targeted ads because that's at least that way they know what is in the realm that kids are that kids are able to see and to work with, rather than adult oriented content which they don't want for their kids. So the targeting actually helped the parents in that sense. Okay, But again, it is insanity itself. Let me just real quick. I'm going to just finish with this. Okay, this is what I looked at that press conference, right? And nowhere in there did he mention that he would be fining us. Okay, that is in the regulation though. But he said that we are going to be treated like websites. Okay, so content creators on YouTube are now analogous to websites. Okay, so what did I do? I went into the Coppa law and I saw, well, what are the websites saying? Okay, first of all, DS hit it on the head. It is for websites that collect data, demographic data of children under 13. Okay, we collect nothing. We just create the content. YouTube is the one who collects the data. Okay, so try to pass muster on that one. On a legal stage,
it's tough to put the cat back in the bag on a broad view of this, because once the Supreme Court endorsed the Dormant Commerce Clause, what the government has done has dug their claws into everything and said that virtually everything involves commerce, and that allows them to then regulate everything. They really have no constitutional standing to tell YouTube any of this stuff. None of this is even constitutionally permitted at all by the federal government to be dishing out orders to YouTube about content. It's total BS. And we're so far down the road, you can't get that cat back in the bag
anyway. Can't get that back, right? I'm talking in practicality. So what I did is I went to the Coppa laws, right? And I said, okay, so the website creators, and I'm reading here verbatim, to determine whether a website is directed to children, the FTC considers several factors. So just because you make kid content in and of itself is not a violation, all right? It says considers several factors, including subject matter. That is one, right? Visual or audio content. Okay. The age of the models on the site. So that's our example of John's Comics with Kids. That would be a very big factor in determining whether that was kid content. Language. Okay. Obviously, if you're saying, well, hey, little Timmy, why don't you come over here and get your little sippy cup and drink some Coca-Cola? Well, yeah, that is you're talking at the level of a 13 or less kid, or actually much less than that in that sense. Whether advertising on the website is directed to children, that's the one that gets us right there. Okay, because like you said, we are not. If once Bub hits that button that says you do not accept any advertising on your channel, there is no way they can possibly state that they do, because that factor is out of there.
What's an advertising that's targeted towards kids? That's BS too. Name an advertisement that's targeted at kids. Name one. You can't name one. Trust me.
Well, I could name several.
Toys.
If you have toys that are
toys, kids don't have jobs to go buy toys. That's not targeted at kids. You can put out videos of ice cream cones melting in the sun. Also, that's not going to do any kid any good unless you give them an allowance to go to the ice cream truck and buy it.
But their kids are going to be asking for it, DS.
Yeah,
that's
just because
their
a
point.
kid likes to watch something, or just because a kid is interested in something, doesn't mean it's targeted at them. If you're selling products, that's not targeted at kids. Kids don't have jobs and paychecks and cars to go to Walmart and buy a bunch of crap. Adults do. So I'm not acquiescing to even that definition, which is the lost cause for me, but I may gain some support in the chat on this issue anyway, which would be good for me, because you're not targeting kids with any of these ads. You're targeting adults who can't stand up to their kids when their kids say, Mommy, I want this, buy me this, blah, blah, blah.
Listen,
okay, I'll buy it for little Johnny so he shuts up. That's not targeting kids. That's poor parenting.
DS,
I can't stand little Johnny.
When you have kids, DS, when you have kids, right? Trust me, the last thing you want to do is to have a disappointed and whining kid on your side here, because it will make your life hell. Okay, so it may not. It's not targeted at. You're right, but it's targeted at so that the kids can want to buy those. That the parents will buy it for them, and they get the revenue from it.
Yeah, but I mean, you're
right. You're right. I'm just saying that's how it works.
Lines because kids want their parents to buy them something. That's the issue. Are you freaking kidding me? That's what I'm saying, man. This is so far out of whack.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Okay, I know. Okay,
great.
All right. So, okay. Then the next one says information regarding the age of the actual or intended audience. Okay, so that's another thing that Bub is taking a precaution, because he's saying it's 18 and above. All right, and I'm not collecting data. So he's He's knocked off like 3 or 4 of these now. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do besides this, right? And whether a site uses animated characters or other child-oriented features. So don't show cartoons. Don't show claymation. Okay? Don't show anything that moves, essentially.
Yeah, and you can't exercise prior restraint against somebody on their speech based on who might come to listen to it. Also unconstitutional. But continue.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to mute you if you don't let Roger finish.
Sorry, I can't help.
So basically, this is what, again, this is my opinion, right? No legal advice here. Don't say, oh, Roger told me. No, absolutely not. Because in this case, I'm going toward DS a little bit. The governmental agencies that make things this vague make me very nervous, because it ripes of overreach. It ripes of hair splitting. It ripes of picking out and choosing, your violators. Okay. So that being said, if you do what Bub said, all right, and I'm taking an extra precaution. Okay. I'm not going to show any characters, at least for a while, that are in any appeal to kids. So Spider-Man, Hulk, those guys. So you're going to see stuff like this and like this and like this, okay, which have no action figures made, have no cartoons made, nothing like that, all right? And above that, I'm going to, before I start my video, the first thing I'm going to say, and I already talked to Lawrence about this, is that this is intended for adult and advanced collectors of the graphic storytelling medium. And I'm going to put there 18 and above. So anybody who makes a contest from now on, I'm going to ask them, hey, please make it 18 and above. All right. So that there's if they have the audacity to come down on anything that we do based on this precaution, they have to come down at 23 million other sites, because there's nobody taking the precautions that we're taking, and to the extent that we're taking them. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the intended or actual audience. So I can say it's for adults, and then my intended audience is adults. But what they catch everybody else by saying your actual audience. So if 50 kids come watch one of my adult videos on violent, horrific comics, that's my actual audience. I can't control that. I am not control that. And they are coming to me. There's nothing I can do about that.
No, and I looked at my YouTube studio to see what my age ranges were on my videos. I have not had one person, not one, in a lifetime of my channels, 2 years, that has seen a video under 17. Not one. Okay? So with that evidence, there is, I'd like them to try to say that this is a channel that is somehow directed toward children, that I purposefully am trying to say that is for children. I'd like them to say, I said, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to swear. I haven't sworn in decades. I'm not going to start now, okay, because that's not who I am. Okay, I'm not going to change, the veracity of what I talk about. I'm going to tell you the truth and my opinion, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to take those precautions until this blows over, because I got a feeling that something's going to happen that will either clarify or totally negate what the fears that we are now feeling in this during this regulation, because this is so insane that somewhere in this realm of government and lobbyists, there will be some kind of sanity at some point, because there are so many petitions going on, so many comments, that they can't ignore that much of a mass firestorm against this very, very unjust and fear-mongering type of regulation.
Well said, Roger. I completely agree with you. And that's part of why it's important that we're discussing it tonight with 26 to 30 people in the chat hearing it, and we're adding our 2 cents to the discussion. I will continue to express myself, and I will not be chilled in my expression no matter what happens. And that's how I will do my part to fight for what's right. And, you've got to resist the tidal wave as best you can. And, I don't know where the end game is, but I mean, if you study history, it's been slowly sliding. This isn't the first chilling thing that's completely oppressive. It's been sliding for a long time. And, I don't have the solution, but I certainly know what's the problem. So.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, some stuff in the chat, toy videos. I mean, yeah, I think those are problematic,
YouTube,
because those are generally targeted toward children. Absolutely.
Right. If you read YouTube specific, they actually mention toy videos. And they also, by the way, said that because there was a specific question asked, what about video games? People like to live stream video games. And I said, well, the video games have a rating on them, but we are also not going to target. They named 2 video games in specific. They named Minecraft and Fortnite as video games that they're expressly not going to target. Mm-hmm. Now, why is that? Why are all other types of content bad, but video games, which are clearly, I think, Minecraft is clearly a kid's game, but,
especially, yeah.
Why are they not being targeted? And it's because YouTube makes so much money on those videos that it's ridiculous. So all that I'm saying, if we're continuing on this path just a minute longer, is that look at who's not being affected. Look who this affects the most. Look who it affects negatively the most, right? And why they want this policy enforced. And then look at who the exception's been given to. And in this case, the video game community has been given something of an exception. Why is that? Because if YouTube has to go to bat for someone, they're going to go to bat for someone who makes them the most amount of money. They're not going to go to bat for anyone if all the YouTubers that deal with comics and toys disappear from YouTube, there's still going to be plenty of YouTube left for everyone to watch. Won't be stuff maybe I'm interested in, but there'll be plenty left. When I need to fix my water heater, I'm still going to YouTube. And and that's all I'm saying is that it's, to us in our world, this seems huge, but to the overall landscape of YouTube and the FTC, we are a speck of a speck. And that's why if we get wiped out by a bot, no one's going to be listening to our rebuttals.
Well,
So
there's hope, because I don't want everybody to think that I'm just speaking of doom and gloom, which I pretty much have for the last hour anyway, but there's another cat that can't be put back in the bag either. The other cat that can't be put back in the bag is the internet. The internet has presented a unique sort of problem for those who seek to control the masses, and that is it's so widespread and its roots have grown throughout the entire globe that you cannot shut down the internet. It's that cat is out of the bag. That ship sailed long ago, that you cannot now stop anything on the internet. So speech is the internet is almost an untouchable safe haven for speech and assembly that can never be thwarted by anybody, because it's so ubiquitous around the entire globe at this point. And they can push and divert this stuff here and there down different paths, but it's going to continue to sprout up on different forums. And the good thing about the internet is you don't need to have a bunch of money and set up a factory and a brick and mortar store and pump out products and become a multinational corporation. You can sit in your office and get on the internet and put out content and reach every single person in the world instantly. And there's no way that they can stifle that. They can try and they can frustrate us and they can do little things like this, but they will never be able to silence it at this point. That ship has also sailed. So there's sort of like two different forces at work here. And I think, I think we're on solid footing because they cannot stop it. We can assemble and speak and share and do whatever we want with the internet, and they can't ever stop it. But they will continue to try, and it's frustrating and it hurts people here and there at any given time, like creators shut down their channels. But the longer view of this is still yet to be determined how it plays out. But the internet is our best ally right now, because we don't have to depend on newspaper companies or telephone lines or somebody standing in the village crier or anything like that. You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, DS, I know what you're saying, and I appreciate that, but there's there's situations that occur, and this is basically like a bomb went off, right?
Yeah.
Or at least someone fired a shot. And whenever there's and I come from New York, you guys know that. I was born in Brooklyn, raised in the Bronx, and I can tell you what happens when an unknown gun goes off, right? So bullets ring out, shot goes off, and there's basically 3 or 4 types of people, right? There's people who hear the shot and run in whatever they perceive to be the opposite direction. Those are likely the people that are shutting down their channels right now. And that is fine. Maybe you have something to protect far away. Maybe you have so much more to live for that whatever you're doing at the moment doesn't matter. So you took off, you ran, right? I'm not judging anybody for which one of these people you are. But then the gun goes off. Some people take off and run in what they perceive to be the opposite direction. Gun goes off. Some people run in that direction to find out what they can do to stop the gun from going off. And then the gun goes off, and some people sit down right where they're at and hope that it blows over or try and fortify their position. And me, when a gun goes off, I try to arm myself. I try to find something around me that I can use, that if the gun comes closer, I can protect myself, but I'm going to find some tool to arm myself. That's me. I'm kind of a protector. So I think right now the gun's gone off. Some people are jumping, they're running, which is fine. Some people are, I think, more like you. You're going to know, I'm going to take the fight to them. And if they come after me, I'm going to defend myself, do whatever it takes. Other people are just going to sit down, literally do the least amount that they can and continue to run as if kind of nothing happened, right? And then others are going to take extra precautions just in case another shot goes off. And I think that's kind of where we're all at. I mean, none of us wants this to happen, but no. I think any of us can find ourselves in one of those categories.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And to me, it's just what I find. I mean, I don't think any of us have disagreed. Maybe we don't see things from the exact same point of view, but I think the effect, regardless, has occurred, and that is that because of the incredible, I don't even know what to put it, but the oppressive kind of vagueness that is involved here. We've already lost 4 incredibly great content creators and friends of ours, and that's something that is already the law hasn't even been enforced yet, and it's already created a body count.
Yeah.
Okay. And that tells me, and since I know these individuals and I know their intentions, that tells me there's something wrong here just by the results of it. I don't need to even know, what the intended objective is, and I realize that there is one, whether you agree with it or not, or whether you think that that's the impetus behind it. But the results can't be denied, and that is that a lot of people are going to be losing their revenue stream. A lot of people are going to be losing, a lot of, not friends, but at least the communication, the constant communication and community that we all love, because of the essentially a sin that we had absolutely no part of, other than making content that made that company money. So to me, it's just a crying shame and just totally unfair.
Yeah, and not to mention that, like, I think Bub or one of you said earlier that in order to be even on YouTube, you have to be over 13.
Yeah, that's right.
And not only that, so we should assume that YouTube's doing their job and not letting anybody 13 or under come on here anyway. So I shouldn't have to worry if mine's kid friendly or not, because there shouldn't be any 13 or 12-year-olds on here anyway. But if they are, they need parental consent. Well, look, there's 2 types of consent. There's direct consent and implied consent. And I love how the implied consent will be enforced when it goes against us, but the direct consent will be what we'll use in this situation. Like, you can't pick and choose. There's consent or there's not. When a 10-year-old is sitting in their bedroom on YouTube in the middle of the night on school night, that's implied consent, because they're in their parents' house, in their parents' room with devices bought by their parents, and if their parents are okay with it or are not checking up, that's implied consent. So all of this is like a non-issue anyway to me. I don't think you get over that first burden anyway, not to mention all the other barriers that I think are
Yeah, but again, I don't think that the parents are in any way, shape, or form the ones that are really the ones that are the impetus behind this.
Right. They're not.
Yeah,
No parents are complaining about what's
Yeah.
going on YouTube, really.
That's why I'm going toward Bub, because that what
Yeah.
he said makes a lot of sense. That, you know, if it can increase your revenue stream, you can lobby and you can do and research, and I bet I have no doubts that this was done, you know, not exactly, but at least with the intention that Bub says. There's money behind it, and this is the person that's taking it from them or denying them or taking too much of a pie, and thus they and YouTube, again, they're not with hands clean. They got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, collecting data they weren't supposed to. So again, it all fits, it all makes sense, it's all legalese and the whole bit, but ultimately we're the ones who are being punished for something that we had no part of, other than what making wholesome and creative content so that YouTube can ultimately make money on their end. So we're getting it on both sides. Not only are we not getting anything, we're giving up stuff for stuff that we didn't do.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm not changing. I'm going to keep showing the most graphic, horrific, obscene artwork I can on a regular basis. And it's for adults, and that's who I intend to come watch, and let the chips fall where they may. But I'm not, whatever. I'm going to keep showing the same crap all the time, whether I get 1,000 subs or 10,000 subs or I drop to 200 subs. I don't care.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue to make my videos. I'm not changing the actual videos in any way. They'll come out the same, and the only thing that I'll be changing is the restrictions. And hopefully that's, you know, if I feel like if I do everything, if I use every tool that YouTube provides to restrict children from watching my videos, then that's got to be as much protection as is afforded to me as a creator. And that's what I'm going to take. If they give me the tools to stop kids from watching my videos, I'll take them, because I don't think kids are watching them anyway. So now my videos will not be promoted anymore. I'll probably not gain very many new subs because people won't find me in searches. Right. But if you're already a subscriber, you should be able to see my stuff. So that's another thing. If there's channels out there that you like, and sub them up. Don't just wait for them to show up on your home feed or whatever, because my videos aren't going to show up on home feed anymore. You'll still get notifications. You'll still be on your subscriber feed, but on the recommended videos, I'll be gone. You won't see my videos anymore.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's smart. I mean, I am going to change my content a little bit, at least for the beginning, as I said, just to make sure that, you know, because only because I believe 99.9% that we are going to be okay, but there's always that 0.1 doubt. And in a court of law, that is not guilty. But in civil proceeding, in something where a commission has, and if five people are essentially, you know, are the ones who enact the regulations. And if some busybody sees one of my videos and says, "Oh, he's talking about Spider-Man, and that's you know, that was a kid's cartoon," and you know, so I am fairly certain, but I'm going to do everything like Bub said, including orally and physically state what I'm doing, so that there's no doubt, okay, that this is not in any way, shape, or form geared toward 13 and below. But, you know, and the language that I use, the subjects that I use, the obscurities that I delve into are obviously adult oriented. I mean, and no one, unless you're some kind of Mensa member that you're 13 years old, you're not going to be interested in that.
Well, Roger, if I ever go after you, that will be the PR disaster of the century. I already know that.
Right. Well, any of us, really. I think any of us.
Well,
unless you're showing toys and Legos and things like that. But if you're just delving into the history or the economics or showing hauls, I don't see how they could possibly consider that kid content.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, it gets dicey when you decide to monetize, because then you're dipping your foot into the commerce pot, and then that's a whole other ball game. But
no, that's I'm not monetizing.
I'm not trying to do this for money. I'm not trying to be monetized. I'm just doing this as part of a free speech. So I'm not worried about it, and I'm not going to stop. But if you're monetized, yeah, I mean, if you're participating in the commercialization that's going on, you've got more to risk, and you've got more to consider, and you're basically you're running more of a business than just having a free speech platform. Although that's part of it also. But if you're doing this for money, you're engaged in more of a commercial aspect of it. Yeah, there's a lot more to consider. And how are you supposed to navigate this if you're monetized? Yeah, I mean, like somebody said earlier, you need a legal counsel to help you navigate how to make videos on YouTube. It's ridiculous. And of course,
it's insane. It's insanity. It's total insanity.
I think the reason for that, the reason for that, DS, is that once you're monetized, once you're taking money, you can say that you're not yourself collecting any data in any way, and that would, clear you of Coppa. But because you're taking money, others are collecting data on your behalf at that point. You have hired the marketing team of YouTube to make you money based on the data that they collect.
Yeah, and that's the argument. But I mean, if YouTube's collecting data on kids, then YouTube needs to stop collecting data on kids. I'm saying, yeah, put ads on my channel that are, good in accordance with the law, and then they're not, and then I'm on the hook. It's, you know what I mean?
It's insane.
So upside down.
It's insanity. But another thing is you have to think of the practicality, right? I mean, think about it. How are they going to get, if they do somehow fine you, how are they going to get that money from you if you're not even monetized? The only way that I can figure is that unless they can put some kind of lien or something, which is obscene, because that only the IRS has that, I believe, that kind of power. So they would, the most logical way is for them to take it from your earnings on YouTube. Instead of, it's almost like garnishing wages. Instead of getting it from YouTube directly, they'll just funnel it to the FTC, because that will be the fine. That makes the most sense to me. Why fine somebody that you're going to put a judgment there, and you're never going to see that money because that person, they have no avenue.
I know that we're running long on time, but
sorry.
Gretzky brought up something that I did want to touch on for a second, and he says, what about YouTube auctions? That's another thing. I'm not going to be allowing any auctions on my channel. I won't try and sell any, not for a minute. I'm not going to try and sell anything on YouTube through my channel for a while.
Because that's making money.
Also, no contest. Yep. I hate to say that, but anytime, what they're also trying to stop engagement with people that may be minors, right? So I'm not going to do any contests for a while. Nothing where I'm collecting people's data in any way, because when you run a contest, that's a heck of a lot of data collection that you're doing, even if it's just for the winners. So no contests and no auctions. And that's because you might not be making money from advertisements on YouTube, but if you're making money from your content on YouTube, that counts.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'm going to still do auctions.
Advertise other things that you do,
I will still do auctions because you're allowed to make money from your content. You're not allowed to collect data on kids and target them with ads. I'm not going to collect data on kids. I'm not going to target anybody with ads. I'm going to sell books to I'm going to sell my personal books to other collectors. I have collectibles. Other collectors have collectibles. I will buy and sell and trade with other collectors. And the YouTube auction is a way to do that. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to stop doing that because I'm not collecting data on minors and I'm not targeting minors. I'm, trading books with other collectors, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm going to keep doing it.
It shouldn't matter, DS, but if you are, I'm just saying, if you're making money, okay, then that is, again, if we're saying money is behind this, then that would be the avenue for them to get, to the fines.
That's fine. I mean, I'm allowed to make money, and
no. Let me finish. But I'm agreing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
In a free society, and if they want to come after me about it, that's fine.
I
am not exercising my freedom in a variety of arenas.
Right. Pursuit of happiness. Right.
They can come after me. I will fight them, and I will probably lose, and I will generate as much static and noise as I can on the way down.
What is the framers' definition of pursuit of happiness in the Constitution?
Oh, I don't know what's the definition of it.
It's making money. Oh. It's business, lifestyle, livelihood, right? So yeah, that's protected. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 50 million potheads out there pursuing happiness that the government's going after, and I'm not saying happiness is an emotion, right?
I'm talking about YouTube more specifically because I don't think YouTube. I think YouTube is going to target anyone who is trying to collect data themselves or collect monies themselves, which includes auctions and all the people with Patreon accounts who are circumventing the YouTube advertisement system and saying, yeah, we'll be on my Patreon, and they're still using YouTube to advertise that. I think those people are going to see some extra heat on them as well. Because YouTube is going to use this now that they've had to do this to their best advantage to, call out any channels that they don't like. And to me, any channel that's using Patreon or any kind of outside monetary source that circumvents the YouTube advertisement system, I think will be a target for sure.
Yeah, that's a YouTube target. That would be that they have the power to shut you down. Not an FTC target, but yeah, it would be a YouTube target. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens is when these companies, like a lot of people move to Patreon, or there'll be other companies that will pop up on the internet over time that aren't in existence today. But look, on the internet, the way companies make money is not really on membership fees anymore, because there's so much free content that you can't make money by charging a membership fee very often. GPA can, or CGC, but I mean, YouTube, people will go to a free version or whatever when it pops up. Facebook is free. The way these companies make money is ad revenue. They put in a product that's so good that so many people use it that they can say, look, advertisers, we have millions of people using our platform. Do you want to buy some ad space? You can reach tons of people, and you can even target ads based on what they're watching, what they're doing, who they are, what their age bracket is, whatever. And that's how they make money. That's going to exist in any of these arenas, and they're just going to go around targeting the next one that comes up. So a bunch of people are going to move to Patreon or other areas. It's going to be similar issues no matter where you go. So I'm not running to a new place. I'm just going to stay put and do what I do, and chips fall where they may, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention to McD and the UK guys, DS, can you see any way that you could think of that a US based commission, right, could fine a foreign national, okay, based upon their use of content on a US property, okay, but however, again, it's insane. There's no treaty that could ever have a segue for them to fine somebody from another country. It has to be through the revenue of. That's why logically I'm thinking it has to be through the revenue that they make in YouTube, like you said, monetization. Otherwise, I just don't see a segue. I don't see standing. I don't see any connection between the fine that is possible and a foreign national being involved in this, because they said that. They did say that in the press conference, but I don't buy it.
Well, I buy it. And the only reason that I buy it is because there's an unprecedented amount of cooperation that goes on between political allies when it comes to copyright and media infringement. It's one of the few things that across allies people agree on. That's why, people want to make knockoffs to go to China, because everyone else, they will cooperate. There's an FTC type organization in almost every developed country that has media content. So organized media content. So no, I don't think the FTC is going to charge foreign national. I think that they're going to cooperate with that government's, FTC clone, and that government will issue the fine. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying that there has to be some kind of connection, right? Just because, and again, copyright laws are different, right? Copyright laws have their own codification, but when we're talking about a regulation by a commission, okay, the Federal Trade Commission is all U.S. only, okay? They can only regulate trade on U.S. properties, okay? They cannot dictate to other countries their regulations. So if you are, however, if you are in the United States, you're making up money from the United States, obviously they can use that as the segue because you're present in the country. But once you're outside of the country, okay, and you're being fined, now this is different, right? Fined, which we're talking as a legal through a legal means to a foreign national. There has to be some kind of treaty for that to occur. Okay. And I mean, I'm not an expert in international law, but I severely doubt that a Federal Trade Commission that is, again, a purportedly for United States properties, right? We're not talking about, you know, CIA or anything like that that has, you know, jurisdiction between content of other countries in the United States. To find them, okay, for this, it doesn't ring true. I think that's why I think it's all fear mongering and scare tactics. I just doesn't. They can get their money from YouTube. Yeah, that's true. The money that's here, but to get them from out there, like McD, or just because he has a non-monetized channel, I don't see it. I don't see it.
We should all get together and pool our resources and start something called MeTube or UsTube and incorporate in the Cayman Islands and be done with this mess.
Like he said, use tubes, and forget
YouTube. Yeah, we'll incorporate in the Cayman Islands. We'll set up servers down there, and we'll run our YouTube down in the Cayman Islands and be rid of all this.
All right, you go down there first and set up a hut and let me know when it's ready.
I will. Hey, I think the Cayman Islands is a very rich place. They're well off, man. I think it's more than a hut. I think you can get some nice stuff down there. It's loaded.
You know that all the banks.
All I can afford is a hut. Just work within my budget, will you?
All the banks. There's a multitude of banks in the Cayman Islands because there's very little. Guess what? Regulation, DS.
Right. Yeah. Because look, they don't have a real great way to make money except for tourism, and they're competing with a ton of other places in the area for great tourism. Right. So they've decided, let's just be totally free and hardly any regulations, and we'll just have total freedom in business and banking. And that will attract people, and we'll just charge fees for people to set up here. And it's been a
boon,
brilliant success,
a major boon. Yeah,
a
major boon. I've been down there a couple times. Trust me, it's a boon.
Genome Presents is making a good point too that I happen to agree with. I think that, you know, the one thing I don't like to hear is when people are saying, "Oh, YouTube will destroy itself, and YouTube's going to lose so much." I appreciate you all and your delusions of grandeur. and really, because I'm right there with you, man. This means a lot to me, and I love it, and it's a big part of my routine now, and I've really enjoyed it. It's just been so fulfilling. But honestly, if I disappeared from the landscape, from the landscape of YouTube, and all the content creators that we're concerned about did as well, YouTube will soldier on. They might make $1 less this year, and they might make $1 more. There's just no telling. And so don't cry for them and act like that they're just going to destroy themselves, because I just don't see that happening. We'll be gone, and they'll still go on without us. You know.
Yeah, they have 23 million channels on YouTube. 23. Think about that. 23 million.
Yeah, I mean, but think about this. There's been bigger internet companies that have folded, and you know how many people use MySpace? I mean, MySpace million people on it.
But you know, I agree that this community won't make a ripple effect. But because of the fear behind this and the chilling effect behind it, if enough of them do, and again, you know how this thing, it's sort of it just starts snowballing. And they say, well, if he's coming down and he's got 100,000 subscribers and he's doing it on video games, I'm going to get out. So will it go away? I don't think so. But will they be hurt? Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, that's not just our community. If you go on YouTube and search Coppa and just sort by upload date, there's hundreds of thousands of videos that have been uploaded in just the last couple of days. So this is not just our community. There's all other communities are discussing this in their little discussion groups. And if you go on YouTube and just search Coppa, you will find so many results. It's making a ripple across the entire YouTube community. Almost everybody who puts out content knows what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah, doesn't matter what.
That's true. But I bet in the end, ABC, CBS, and NBC are still putting out their clips of their late night shows in droves. I don't think anybody at any of those big networks are sweating even for a second. No. I think that's just all, this is only going to affect small creators. And even if you think you're a big creator, really, how big are you really? A couple of thousand subscribers, even, anybody less than 100,000 subscribers, I would say is not the loss of that channel is not going to affect YouTube that much. So
yeah, that's true.
Well,
No, but remember, and I'll say this again: don't panic yet. We have until January 1st. Things can change. Clarification can happen. I know it's rare, but it does happen.
Did they not move it to December 10th?
December 10th is when their YouTube is coming down with their new regulation for YouTube, but they're not going to start enforcing it, FTC, until January 1st.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
So it's two different things. One is a YouTube. That's the commercially viable, can delete that part of YouTube. That is, December 10th. But the FTC fining part, that is January 1st.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'd say we beat a dead horse, but I think it's still alive and kicking. But we're done beating it.
I got 5 hours in me, so I mean, I don't think the horse is even close to being dead. I think it was good that we had this discussion and we went for a long time, and it's important. It's probably the only time we're going to have this type of discussion about it, the three of us, like this. So it had to be done. I encourage other people to discuss this and just dedicate one of your normal slots to discussing this. And if nothing else, it provokes thought on it, and it provokes people to go out and research it and learn. And I encourage everybody who's a creator who puts out content to dedicate one slot to this in some manner or fashion, to just be part of the movement, whatever it is, and just provoke people to sort of learn about it and research it and do their homework on it, really.
Yeah, one of the things that I always felt, I've always hated goodbye videos on YouTube, because I always found them very self, what do you call it? Wallowing in their own despair, just a little bit ridiculous. But in this case, it kind of makes sense,
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other times I'm like, oh, really? Goodbye, YouTube. And then I just wait. And like 2 months later, it's, I'm back, YouTube. I'm like, oh, boy. What an emotional roller coaster.
Right. Right.
But in this case, I understand it. And I think that it would be appropriate that if you want to say something to your audience and you are thinking of leaving, I think it would be good to engage with us. Let us know where you're going, and if you plan to come back, and if you move your content to another site, that's important to know too. And if you're going Instagram or whatever else is out there, then let people know, because a lot of us really care about each other. Even if you'll find people that have never commented on your videos but still want to follow you. So let everybody know. If you decide to go, let everybody know where you're going. I think it'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't
for all of us.
comment on One-Legged Books videos ever. I usually watch all of them, and I commented on the one today because it really touched me in a way that this is why I wanted to discuss this, was because of his sort of goodbye video. And I commented on that video, and I've watched so many of his videos, like so many others I've watched, where I just haven't commented, I've just watched them. And I commented on his, and it hit home that, what I mean? He's like a poster child for like the perfect content creator.
Agreed.
Totally honorable and ethical, and has
wholesome, knowledable. There's not. I'm
not wholesome at all. I know that. I'm
right.
That's a lost cause.
That's why it upset me so much, because that you would think that is the kind of channel that me as a parent, as a governmental agency who would like to protect children, and to have a parent who would have good content for children. That is the kind of channel you want.
Right.
And what you're gonna have now is people swearing and doing all kinds of machinations so that they are not kid friendly. It doesn't make any. It's so insane.
Right.
That is what upsets me. That none of this makes any darn sense. The people we're trying to protect, and the people that we are ostensibly trying to give better content for, it's doing the opposite effect. It's a totally obscene and upsets me, because it didn't have to be this way. There were so many other avenues they could have done to accomplish the same thing and better results. But that's why I'm just out of my mind, because once I saw that, and Super Russ and McD and Rayman, these are my friends. These are my favorite channels, and now I'm being denied wholesome entertainment. You know me. I haven't sworn in my videos, not once, because that's who I am.
Well, people can take lessons from what you and Bub are doing other than me. I'm just being
Yeah, you're just putting yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
You're running toward the bullets.
But you guys are doing what you feel is necessary to stay
Me
out.
and Roger are hunkering down with armor,
We're
and then
hunkering
others
down.
are heading for the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys are more considerate about it. You're figuring out how to adapt. You're figuring out ways to stay out there, and I would encourage everybody to take example from you two, not from me. But whatever you do, just do what you can to stay, because if you leave, everyone that leaves is one more win for the bad.
That's the results that they want, essentially, to have a little to get rid of us small guys so that they have a little more bandwidth and a little more profit on the other end.
Let me
dirty work. If they want to get people off, they need to do their own dirty work. I'm not cooperating.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You come down here and beat me up. Don't let don't let the bully on the next block do it.
All right, now I'm going to say something that might make Diaz happy. We're going to try, okay? Now, he's very pragmatic. And if anyone's looking for a silver lining or an edge in anything, it would be DS. So let me just say this. There should be a lot of cheap video and audio equipment for sale on eBay soon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, man.
A lot of people are ditching this stuff, man. I'm telling you, come about December 15th, you should be able to buy a high-grade DSLR camera, the best blue mic they make. Everything should be available for sale about 2 weeks. So after December. So be on the lookout for that.
That sounds awesome. I don't know what the DSLR and the blue things are, but they sound very high tech. But that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll be checking that out. I think I need a DSLR something or other and a blue DSLR.
Bub, if the world ever blows up, the positive thing, no overcrowding.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's part of it too. I mean, channels that stay in the game, they may end up picking up a few extra subs here and there. They might see more growth because there'll be an awful lot less people out there putting out content, which is a shame because I just found like 10 new channels last month that I love.
Me too.
And
Ian here was just saying that they were thinking about starting a channel and starting content. I can't remember who it was in our chat. Just like
Ranger's Fly was going to start a channel too.
Yeah.
And I think
I heard from him today.
that old comic smell also. You see, this is what I'm saying. The chill and DS, the chilling effect is it's immense here because of this. And you can't deny that if it's this bad, that there's something wrong. I mean, all I'm saying is that cause and effect, right? The cause is that they want to do X thing. They want to protect privacy of children. I'm all for that. But the effect that it's having is not that. Okay? So all it is it's denying content that otherwise would be something that would be appreciated by children. It's just insane. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it is quite something. Guys, we've run way long today.
Yep.
I want to thank everybody. There's a couple of other shows that have started. We've run into them, of course. They couldn't wait on us any longer. Yeah. But I want to thank everybody who has been watching and who is still watching. And I just want you all to know that I appreciate the YouTube community has been a big thing for me. The whole channel has completely reshaped how I collect. I think for the better. I've really enjoyed this aspect. I consider it a secondary hobby to my comic collecting, but they run very parallel with each other, and when they intersect, it's glorious. So I've really, really enjoyed it. And I want to thank the friends that I've made here, and of course you guys as well. And just thank you to everyone who watched this video, who's commented. And we're just kind of airing out how we feel about things and trying to get an idea of where we stand. We haven't spoke about it, the three of us that I'm aware of individually. Yeah. So you guys are hearing it raw, us, putting our three heads together and seeing which one clangs the loudest. So that's where we're at. So thank you all in the chat. Thanks DS and thanks Roger for engaging in this conversation.
Yep, I'm going to head out. More important than ever, make sure everyone do your homework. And I'm going to off. I'll catch you guys next week.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.
And Roger, would you do me a favor and let Deadpool 2323. No, he wants to be on next week, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If he wants to be on next week, I will allow it. However,
All right.
you must allow me to do a no faces segment on him.
Okay. I'll let him know.
That's the entry
Okay.
fee.
That's
Anybody
entry
wants
fee,
that? I think that might be the entry fee going forward.
Okay. So if you want to be
on the
be
show
in the No Faces chat, you got to be on pause.
Yep, you have to submit
Got
to
it.
a pause.
That okay. I think I can probably wrangle him into doing that. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Roger and everybody, thank you so much. You want to say your goodbyes, Roger?
Yeah, guys, and forgive for my rant. I'm upset that I've not lost these friends. These are my friends, but that this has cost us so much great content. So I forgive my rants. I really do love this community, and that sort of kind of dictates my emotional state right now. So forgive me if I've seemed somewhat upset and so forth. It is only because of the incredible sadness I feel for not having these creators more often in my life. So everybody, even more now than ever, be blessed and be back.
Thank you, Roger. And this Bub's Comics telling you, look, everybody, I love your channels. The longer they stay around, the better. Honestly, that's self-serving. If you got something better to do or you think it's safer to take them down, do what you got to do. But for me and my house, we love your channels, and we hope to see as much of them right up to the 11th hour. We want to see as many videos as you got, and if you got any in the can, put them out there so we can all enjoy them before you take your channels down.
That's right. Yep.
So appreciate it. Everybody sub everybody up, because this is going to be one of those times where your subscriptions, I think, are going to matter the most, because if what I'm doing turns out to be the way that all of us kind of end up having to do it in order to keep our channels alive and with comments, then the subscription is going to be the only way that we find each other. So keep that up. If you put out a video and it's private, put it on Instagram and stuff so other people can find it, and just have a great time with what's left of YouTube. And I think ultimately this too shall pass. So we'll see. But until then, we'll catch you next time on BUB'S Comics. Don't forget to read a comic, and don't apologize for the glare.